Welcome to the spot. It's time to ignite. Oh yeah. Operation Hangout. The feeling's just right. Chilling with the crew. We're ready to groove. Opinions flying high. Come on, let's move. Hang out all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Pull up a chair, let's get in the zone. Voices blending smooth like a funky trombone. Oh yeah. Topics from the heart, making us think. With a twist and a shout, raise up your drink. Cheers! Hang out all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Bring it down, shake it up, feel the beat. With every word we share, the circle's complete. Living loud, think it proud, that's what we do. Oh yeah. Join the club, come on through, we're waiting for you. Alright. Hang out all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Hang out.
Let's try this again. What's going on, guys? We're back at it again with another show, another episode. Thought a little old school's opening with a little rubbing hand like we did back in the day with Grooming Reviews. But seriously, guys, we're back at it again with another show, another stream. You know where you're at. You're at Spartan Institute Network. I'm the host, the Spartan, aka Peter. How is everybody doing tonight? Give me a status report in the chats. What you guys doing? How you been? It's been a while since we checked in with you guys. But tonight is a classic. I Love Lucy. Man, I still watch that show to this day. When I still watch that show, I actually put it on today just to get fresh my mind up how funny she is. And she's still hilarious, I think. Even, 50, 60 years later, she's still one of the icons. She was an evolutionary person. She was a unique woman, a first woman of her kind to actually have a company. Her woman first of her kind to be mainstream on a show. And as she was pregnant at one point with her second son. And one of the first what's the word I'm looking for? No, it's not transit. So what is it called? Trying to remember the name of the word. A woman who's married into a different race. Her husband was Latino. She was white, Italian, I believe. That was a unique. But before we get into it, we gotta bring this guy in here, our buddy from all the way from the UK. Let's get our UK brother in here. Greg, UK brother, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, Peter. How you doing, brother?
Not bad, not bad. Before we move on, I want to throw the link into the chats so we get whoever wants to join. Please join the combo. The conversation will be interesting. We do have some rules. We gotta have some, rules that we can have yourself. So number one, first agenda tonight is no race attack, no issue, no threats, no foreign language to extent. I would say because you know how my language is. No slang, no racist comments, all the night jazz. You see the rules, please follow them. If you want to come up, these are the rules of engagement. The rules are simple: no smoking on camera, no eating on camera. Please dress appropriately. Nobody's want to see that shit. And camera must be on, mic must be on. Please follow those rules, or I will boot you. So, um, hey Greg, what's going on? I reposted. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. All right. I know you came into a little late with I Love Lucy. First question: did they even play I Love Lucy in UK?
I was on another panel tonight, and I was asking people questions about it, and they said it was brilliant.
It's a great show. If you want to
Yeah,
sit there and laugh, go ahead. Here's a
yeah,
little background on me, and most of you guys don't know, and you don't even. I don't think I ever told you, Greg. I have trauma, very serious
yeah,
trauma. So I have very hard time laughing. Laughing is something that I miss, and it's a few people who can make me laugh.
yeah,
One of them is my buddy CQ, he's also a podcaster like us, and he's also a stand-up comedian. He makes me laugh pretty well. Fluffy, he's another one. Brett Williams, he makes me laugh pretty good. Um, and another guy, a Greek comedian called Basil. That's it. If you put most other comedians, I'm like, that silence.
yeah.
It's really hard making me laugh. She makes me laugh my ass off. I mean, to the point like I almost pissed myself a couple of times laughing so hard.
I've got something that might make you laugh. Something popped up on my Facebook, which on my Facebook today, right? I'm like, who the hell's that? And I had to go and have a look. I'm like, that's fucking Peter, innit? So I thought I'd download it and I'll show you. Seriously.
You, you're an asshole.
I'm sorry.
I don't fucking shave. You see that now? Now you see why I don't shave?
Damn, how old were you then? That must have been about 1,000 years ago, wasn't it?
Ah, shit. Is that one of the first pictures of mine on my Facebook?
I have no idea, but
Let me go back to my Facebook
on my
actually.
feed today, that actually popped up on my feed. I was like, who the fuck is this weirdo? Um, I was like, no, it's not him. I fucking well is.
Trying to see. I'm trying to see which one it is. Hang on. I'm going back to my fucking Facebook, you asshole. Just for that, I should boot your ass for that one. Let's see how back. I'm actually scrolling through my Facebook right now.
I'm sorry, Pete, but that's what popped up.
Let me see again one more time because I have a couple of them like that.
Hold on. Where's my thingy?
Uh,
Where the hell is mine? There you are.
Oh, that's like one of the first ones. We're talking about. Hang on. Hang on. Give me 1 second to find that picture.
Yeah, I clicked on it, and I just flicked through. I was like, and I found this. What was it? Hold on, I lost it now.
All right, I found it actually. You son of a bitch. 2015. We're talking about. All right, let's get this guy in here. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our president.
Ah, shit.
Turn your camera on, Greg.
Oh, don't make me do it again. Oh, shit.
Mr. President, how you doing?
Oh, I've got a bone to pick with you.
Exhausted, but
Don't you tell me Josh this, because this pup is really driving me up the wall today. He started playing at 8 a.m. He didn't stop playing till 7 p.m. He hasn't
that's
stopped.
a puppy for you.
Oh man, the guy has energy. I always had energy like that. Damn. So
Yeah, when we all.
yeah, we're gonna say, Greg. Go ahead.
I said, Paul, I've got a bone to pick with you.
A bone?
Yes, a bone.
Okay.
Yes. You blocked me the other night.
How'd I block you? I was trying to protect you,
You
from.
blocked the other fella, right?
Yeah.
And I was trying to type in the flaming thing. I was like, thank God that guy's gone. I put like, please, like, if you like the show, please like and subscribe, right? If you don't, you know where the door is, right? And it sent it, but it didn't show up. As soon as I refreshed my page, all of my messages that I sent disappeared.
Oh my gosh.
All right, guys, that is the alarm for Greg's little rant.
Well, first of all, my apologies if I did that. I thought I took the guy out, the guy who had all the comments, and I hit the button to block. I didn't think I hit you in the combo, so I apologize for that.
Okay, first of all, Greg, it was a complete innocent accident.
I know, I'm playing around.
You guys want to kiss and make up now?
Paul, hold on. I'm trying to. Mwah. Give us a hug, darling. Hey, Pete, guess what else I found?
Oh, Christ. What is it now? Fuck you, dude. Fuck you.
Mm-hmm. All the juiciness is coming out.
First, you bring a picture of 2015 when I was clean shaved, and you know the rules on this stream. We're not talking about my facial hair. You get booted for that. Rule number 2, you bring a picture when I was how old was I in that picture? That was 2010, I believe. Hang on, let me go back on that one.
You mean like that?
Oh, you're an asshole.
It's a very handsome face right there. I don't know what happened.
Oh, yeah, it popped up in my news feed on Facebook. I was like, "Who the hell is this ugly bugger?" I'm like, "No." I'm like, "It bloody well is."
Drinking is back in 2009, and that was after like a bunch of the karate instructors were having a little bash party at the head instructor's house.
I couldn't bash very much, Pete. Yeah, because I caught one of Dave last night. Yeah, I caught one of David last night.
That's not very old though. You got to find one. I'd be interested in him and
night.
David 20.
That was actually last night. His computer was being funny, right? And it literally froze. And just before someone booted him off, I literally just took that and I was like, screw it. Literally, it was just funny as hell last night.
Should I boot him now or not, Paul? Your call.
No, he's getting pretty handy around the computer though. I'm telling you, you make a career out of this. You make a lot of money here.
Dude, that's what I used to do for a business. That's what I used to do as a job.
Nice. All right, well, you got to, Pat, just get back into it then.
All right, let's get into
I
the show.
actually gave it up
How
10
are you
years
guys
ago
thinking
to
about
look
that?
after the missus.
All right, let's get into the show. You guys cool with that? Are we done having a little fun in my
Sure.
expense?
Look,
I could find more.
I just came in. I thought you guys would have been into it by now, but
He's not letting me. All right, guys. So I was saying earlier when I opened the show, Evelyn Lucy, she was a pioneer in her time.
yeah.
She was a unique woman. She was not only a first woman who owned her own studio company, she was not the only woman that did a main role. She was not only a woman who actually was the first pregnant woman on screen, and the first woman who married somebody in Hollywood that I know of who was not her race. What is that called, Paul? Help me out here. When you married,
Well, interracial. I mean, I don't know if I necessarily call it that. I mean, he was Cuban American, but those guys are pretty Eurocentric. So,
yeah, But at the time, that was nice show.
Yeah, it wasn't. It
Back
wasn't.
then.
Yeah, especially in Hollywood at the time.
Yeah. So they were a unique chemistry, and that what made that their show work. So Paul, I'll let you have the first whack at it before we get into conversation because Greg watched a little bit before we come on the air. So I'll give you the floor first.
Well, certainly, again, Lucille Ball. She started out as a, as a basic Hollywood actress at the time, and at those times, you had to do everything as an actress, right? You had to learn you had to sing, you had to dance. There was a lot of and act. So she was one of those early Hollywood actresses in the 40s. She didn't have anything big at the time, but where she got somewhat famous was when she had a radio show. So she had done maybe about 30 Hollywood films, and she had gotten to this radio gig. And you got to understand, in the 40s, radio was the dominant medium. It wasn't movies and cinema had their thing. TV was just coming on board when it came to television, certainly 1950, 1951. And so, radio was still a very popular medium. Not everyone had a TV, but people would be huddled around their radios at night. The whole family would be listening to radio shows and a lot of radio concerned comedies. And she had a comedy called basically My Favorite Husband, where it was her, that was basically about a husband that had to deal with his very eccentric wife. So that was like the basis for the I Love Lucy concept. But running parallel to that, she had actually married Desi Arnaz in 1940. So they were married for a lot of years early on. So I'm thinking you're saying in the 50s it was still kind of controversial for basically a waspy woman, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, to marry a Cuban. Imagine what that was in the 40s. So I think they had eloped and gotten married. And so, but Desi Arnaz, he was already just like in the show. He was he was an actor. He had his own band. He had a band unit just like in the show. And but unfortunately, he had the reputation of being a bit of a philanderer. And he would go take his show on the road and whatnot. And so when the opportunity came from My Favorite Husband, you had studios, they wanted to come and make a TV show out of it because TV was becoming this burgeoning vehicle. And they wanted to port her show, the concept of her show, My Favorite Husband, to television. And her deal, and this is just, one of the great decisions that she decided to make. She wanted to be married. She wanted to try to keep her marriage together. And the deal that she stuck is like, look, I'll only do the show if my husband, Desi Arnaz, can be my husband in the show. That was like a major demand that she had. And again, studios weren't necessarily for it because, again, it was, for lack of a better word, an interracial marriage. And they weren't sure how it would come off with television and whatnot. But again, you want to say white passing or whatever term you want to use, but but they were, convinced to have him on. And what that did was that kept him close. So he wasn't on the road philandering and whatnot. He had to be in to kind of do the show. So they were able to work out their marriage. It was kind of come and go. But again, he was that. Now he had drinking. I mean, he was a wild dude, but it worked as far as them coming on and them doing the show. They had their kids during the show. So like the first season, or just before the show went on, she was already pregnant with her daughter, Lucy Arnaz, born in 1951. And by the second, third season of the show, she was pregnant again with Desi Arnaz Jr., certainly on the show. But certainly, go ahead, Greg.
Did any of the children appear on the show?
No,
Yes,
Thank
actually.
you.
no,
Yes.
no,
The junior did. He was the kid on the show.
no. He wasn't.
I'm pretty sure he was, Paul.
He wasn't. There were several actors that played Little Ricky on the show. He wasn't. He wasn't one of them. Especially as he got older. In fact, I was just watching that before the show went on. Before the show. Before I went on, I was watching like 15, facts you didn't know about the show or whatnot. And that wasn't it. The kid, I forget the name of the kid on the show. In fact, I could just look it up now.
I'm looking it up right now. Don't worry, I got it.
Just look up who played Little Ricky on the I Love Lucy show. It wasn't him. Or if it was him, maybe as a baby, but not as when he started talking. That was a totally
Actually,
different.
I apologize, Paul. You're 100% right. It was two different actors. Apologize.
For the show was the
Keith Thernorsh and Michael Maynor was the two actors who played Little Ricky in the show. I do apologize. I was really wrong on that.
Yeah. I was like I said, I was literally watching that. I was literally watching that just before on, just to kind of get some facts and history on the show before we went on tonight. So,
I do know when they first met, he didn't find her attractive at all at first because she came off a set from another movie, black eye and everything, and she go and like, who the hell is she? And like, but later on they met in a different environment at a after show party, and he was fascinated with her just like that, like he couldn't keep his eyes off her. Something about her drew him to her. The only thing there is going back and forth on historical facts, how they met, is did she actually look like she got beat up with a black eye, or did she just walk on set? There are two different stories on that part.
Right.
We can agree on.
Right.
One thing I will say about Lucy also, before she became this big star actress, she was a child actress too, doing small roles here and there. Her parents put her into it. She's been acting at a very young age.
Right. But like I said, she wasn't like a big time
Correct.
actress. So she never hit like Judy Garland or any of those famous stars from back in the day. She had bits in movies and whatnot, but never like the breakout until later, until after Lucy. Then she became more famous in roles and whatnot. But like I said, she married him in 1940. She actually filed for divorce in 1944. But because they spent the night together before so it was kind of on again, off again. The state of California declined the divorce, but they worked out a deal, and they were able to work out a deal and keep the marriage going for another few years. I think they finally divorced in 1960. Is when they finally split up for good. But yeah.
Well, from my research today, on the first divorce, some facts as what you said, the state canceled it out. The other side of the historical I found also said they actually worked that out too. So it could be a combination of both. I believe it was the state, and they kind of worked out.
Well, yeah, I think it could have been either one. I mean, I think certainly if the state. So what are you going to do? It's like, okay, well, state said we can't do divorce, so what are we going to do? And I think the fact that they were able to work that out certainly proved good for both of them, because in and of themselves, I don't think they were, like I said, they didn't have any major success, but together they were probably the first power couple in Hollywood, because when the show had started, because of the risk of having a Cuban American as her husband on the show, again, they didn't necessarily want to back it. The studios didn't want to back it, so they formed Desilu, and they put $5,000 of their own money, which was certainly significant of the time, to back the show. And the only thing that they wanted syndicate reruns. Which, and this is the crazy thing about it. This is how forward thinking they were. Reruns was not a thing at the time of the show. The I Love Lucy show was the first show to introduce reruns.
Bingo.
And so they had in there, it's like, fine, we'll finance the show, but in return, we want the rerun rights, the copyrights to the show. They own the show. And so they made, a lot of money just from the show. And a few years later, they actually sold those rights back to CBS for $5 million. And they then took that money and then they bought RKO Studios, which allowed them to produce a lot of movies and television shows of the day. So Desilu became a major player. And of course, the most famous show that they produced was Star Trek. In fact, without Lucille Ball, there wouldn't be a Star Trek, because a lot of those studios weren't feeling Gene Roddenberry's project. They did the pilot episode that they weren't really sure about, but she believed in the project and she backed it. And if you watch the early Star Trek, it'll say this was a Desilu production.
Correct.
So again, Star Trek owes its life to Desilu, Lucille Ball in particular. So they were very smart about doing that. Other innovations on the show, it was the first show to use 3 cameras. And it was also the first show to be filmed using film. Not, they had this other technology that they used, because most shows at the time, at the early dawn of television, all shows were produced in New York on this some sort of taping system where the quality would degrade, and then they would send it over to the West Coast for West Coast viewing, and the quality was poor. They insisted on filming the show in film, which made sure that it was consistent throughout.
Old taping.
I'll cut you off a second,
The
Paul.
old massive reels.
Yeah, hang on a second. They were also the first to use 35 millimeter camera, 35 millimeter cameras.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Film. Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming that with 35. Yeah.
Actually, you could have done it in there in 30 too. They're the only one that did 35 with 3 cameras.
Right.
Did 30, they did 35.
Right. And the 3 cameras was important because, again, every show up to that point, they shot shows, especially with live audiences, they shot the shows 1 camera at a time. So they had one shot that they have to shoot. Then they have to go and move the camera to another location, shoot another shot, move it to another station, shoot another shot. So you had to do the same thing 3 times. So for the actors and for the audience, because these were live taped, it became very tedious for all of them. You can't just laugh at the same joke with the same intensity 3 times. So the fact that they had implemented a 3-camera setup that is still used today, most sitcoms today still use a 3-camera setup. Again, revolutionary. So that was Desi's idea. So again, them as a couple, despite their problems, despite Desi's philanderings and all of that, as a couple, building Desilu, they were genius together. So definitely, they were real pioneers at that time at the dawning of television. That only really came on like late 40s, early 50s, but television didn't become popular by meaning number of televisions in the country until in fact, let me just look this up now. When did...
As you're doing that, Paul, I want to mention a couple of things as you're saying. So you guys understand, they put about a couple $1,000 into it. That value is about I believe you said 5,000. Was it, Paul? Right? You said earlier.
5,000 of their own money.
Thank you.
To start Desilu.
To today's money, almost 60. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. It's 67,000 to 68,000. That's a big jump value between them and now. Dollar went a lot further back then. Hang on, one second. Than it is now. So even when they bought the studio, it was say $5 mil is at $67 million to this value money. Huge difference. So they had to crunch. One thing I do know, when they were married, they had different accounts because Lucy was more the cruncher saving money. Her husband was more spender, and buy everything as possible.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
before, I'm sorry, Paul. You had something to say first. I'm sorry.
No, I'm good. Go ahead, Craig.
No. When you were saying about that big jump, I was like, damn. That's a big jump. That's all.
It's a
That's all
huge
I was
jump.
trying to say around about the time when you were talking about the money, big leap thing. That's all I was going to say about it.
Okay, you were going. Oh, go ahead, Paul. You were
Now,
going.
just to show. So, again, in 1945, there were fewer than 10,000 TV sets in the United States. By 1950, this figure had soared to around 6 million, and by 1960, it was 60 million.
When
So
did you
just the you want to talk about technology that just really took off. So by 1950, TV was becoming a medium. But prior to that, it wasn't. It didn't have a base. It didn't have the technology. Wasn't there?
when did you say TV started coming in?
I'm saying it started in the early 40s, but it's in 1945, there were 10,000 TV sets in the United States.
Really? Oh,
By
damn.
1950, there were 6 million, and by 1960, there were 60 million.
Oh damn! I think back in 1950 we started having the TV.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it really took off. But even in 1950, you still had a lot more radio than television.
Yeah. No, people in over here. I don't know how common it was back in 1950 for TVs,
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't at all, actually.
but over here, people were going around watching the Queen's coronation over here back in the 1950s. I think it was back in the 1950s for the Queen's coronation. Paul, you might remember.
You're-
I'm not that. We need our pain for that one.
Pardon?
We need that guy R. Payne, Richard Payne. We need him on.
He's a friend of ours.
He's the old guy.
He's the OG.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. 1950s. Everyone was sitting in their living room, huddling around the TV, watching for the Queen's coronation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, London was terrible for it. They literally used to come out on the streets and literally have tables with cloths and Union Jack flags going across the thingy.
Mm-hmm.
They don't do that anymore. I don't know what it's like.
Well, it's kind of yeah. I mean, I don't. Well, let me ask you. I mean, just side note. I mean, is that stuff? I know when the king was coronated recently.
Charles.
Was it a highly rated event on television?
If I say some bits, your channel might be demonetized and stuff. So I'm going to go no.
Wow.
No one, people in this country really don't care for the king very much.
Because I remember growing up when Lady Di and I'm sorry, what's his name? The king.
William.
Yeah, when
Charles.
when Charles and Diana got married, that was major. Everything stopped over here. I remember as a kid, I don't forget when it happened. I was at home, and I'm watching this thing live. It was all over. All the news stations, all the live programming stopped just to watch the wedding, and even up to recently, when William got married, American TV stopped just to show that wedding, and then when Harry got married, they stopped TV there as well.
All right, here's a little story. Right, I don't know if it's useless information. Right, William, Charles married Camilla. Yeah.
Yep.
And the Queen Elizabeth, the one who quite recently passed away.
Yeah.
Well, passed away last year before. I can't remember.
Right.
She did not regard Camilla at all. She hated Camilla. She loved Princess Diana. Yeah? But because she didn't divorce Charles, Camilla resents Diana. Yeah? Because the Queen still, even though Princess Diana lost her right to be a princess, the Queen still treated her like a princess. She gave her a lot of stuff. She showed her a lot of respect. She still came to all the gatherings, that sort of thing. So the Queen would be showing her a lot of affection, but Camilla, nothing.
Yeah.
But
Well, from my understanding, through the Greek monarchy, I found out because my grandmother used to work for them. It is yes, she loved her, but she didn't treat her the greatest because she was treated with a hard fist. Because listen, you're a part of the monarchy. You got to follow these rules. these are rules in place for a reason.
Yeah, but deep down, the
Not you.
Queen absolutely adored her. She really did adore her. That's why Camilla, yeah, had held still to this day holds very very big resentment towards Diana. She really
Yeah.
does hate.
But
She
if
does.
I recall at the time, again, hold on, I'll get my dates, because when Diana passed, the king was a bit mum for some time. That people, hang on, but but she had to do a national address on the issue. But the initial reaction, it was kind of silent. That forced, then the pushback was such where she was forced, from what I understand, she was forced to go on TV and to address the issue. But at first, she didn't say much about it initially. At least that's the way it was portrayed here.
Over here,
It
yeah.
was later on there was fan letters between Camilla and Princess Diana. How
Well,
much
that I figured, yeah,
yeah,
because that was
so
weird.
much
Because
hate from Camilla, yeah, to Princess Diana for
right,
resentment
right.
because the Queen preferred her to Camilla.
Oh, for sure. But Charles, for one, Charles always wanted Camilla though. Like if it was up to him back in the day, he would have married her from day one. It was almost like Diana was kind of thrust on him because she came from the
Yeah,
proper, you know, class or
Well,
whatever you want to call it. But
reason
his love interest, he loved Camilla since early on. I
yeah,
mean, that wasn't a
well, the biggest reason why he couldn't marry her from the beginning, because as a monarchy, you're not allowed to marry a divorcee. Later on, after he was divorced himself, the rules were also, if you were a divorcee as a monarchy, you cannot become king or queen. You cannot get the crown. They changed those rules over time, saying you can marry a divorcee and you can become a king as divorcee too. So they have changed the rules over the years of the monarchy, and that's her and the church have to get together and kind of hash that out and figure that out. Whoever's king or queen at the time, they do figure that out. But that's a whole
yeah. That's
that
another
whole show for another time. Has that?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Let's get back on topic really fast. So
sorry, sorry,
no, you're
Paul.
good. You're good. You're good. You're good. Good. So that show was even today, Paul. I don't know if you watched it any episodes recently. I was watching.
No, I watched it every day growing up as a kid, every day. So I've watched probably every episode, with the exception of apparently the first pilot episode, because again that wasn't shot on film initially, and it was buried for years. They showed that for the first time since it was aired in 1990, and I don't recall seeing that particular show. But the very first, because again, it was a very different format. It was almost like a pilot episode. And then once it went into live production, because also Philip Morris, the cigarette company, they were the primary sponsors of the show at the time. They made some changes to the format of the show. So that's why that show is going to look very different from the other shows. But pretty much every show after that, I Love Lucy was a daily consumption. Like every day you watched it. So I probably watched every episode of it multiple times. I can't recall missing too many episodes of it as a kid, but as an adult, I must admit I haven't watched a lot of the show. Certainly as an adult, but every afternoon, especially in the summertime when you were home from school, it would come on like around noon on Channel 5 in New York. And it would be on. So that was a major, in syndication wise, that was a major viewing. That just like at midnight you would watch on Channel 11, it would be The Odd Couple, then it would be The Honeymooners, and then Star Trek. That was like also like so I Love Lucy was in the daytime. Again, Odd Couple, Honeymooners, and Star Trek was the nightly the bookend of the day was watching that, which is probably what developed my my night owl habits, because I had to stay up to watch Star Trek. So I didn't go to bed until like, midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. And that just stuck with me the rest of my life, really.
So I'm gonna play this quick clip really fast, and I want to put this up so we don't capture strike. I will play no sound. In 2013, they actually remastered a couple of the episodes in color. So I thought I watched them. They're actually pretty good. Different. It kind of when you start watching it, I'm like, wow, this is different in color.
Hmm.
like I said, I have it muted so we can copy strike. You see the 9-day difference.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of people did not know she was actually that was her hair color. You know, everybody thought, oh, she's a blonde. Actually, well, no, she wasn't. She was a redhead actually. For
Well,
years.
I think they made reference to her hair being red during the show, like this my crazy redheaded wife. So I think everybody knew at the time that she was red haired, but it's just like I said, you couldn't see it but even me growing up until the 80s, I mostly watched black and white television. Like, you know, when I was with my mom, I mean, we had hand-me-down type of TVs. We rarely had a new TV until the early 80s, where I kind of had color television for the first time. But black and white, when I was a kid in the 70s, yeah. I mean, all the shows I used to watch, they were all black and white. I mean,
My first TV was black and white back in the 90s.
I actually remember when I first moved to Greece and I turned on the TV. It was like the old.
yeah, you turn the knob. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I looked at her like I went to my grandma like, what the fuck is this? Not like that. And she goes, "That's a
So in other words, you were the remote control.
for 24 hours.
Yes, you were like, okay, turn the channel 2, channel.
Yeah, my mom already,
Over here, we had to
she
set
already,
a tune on
she already
TV.
scheduled a new TV bought for us and delivered in 2 days afterwards. That's what I was on for 24 hours, and it was like literally this big. It was literally I can carry it into a different room if I wanted to.
15-inch
Right.
TV.
Right.
Not even, bro. It was like maybe a 10-inch TV if I was lucky.
Damn.
Yeah,
I
but
remember having 13-inch TVs. Absolutely.
she wasn't. She was the only one black and white. It was also the Three Stooges. I can't forget the guy with the mustache. That was pretty funny too. Man, what's his name?
Gordon Hardy.
I think so. He had the mustache. He didn't talk to the show film. It was those old school.
What, Charlie Chaplin?
Thank you, Charlie Chapman. That's another one that was pretty funny back then too. But
Yeah.
she blew this out of the water. And the funny thing about their relationship as a married couple, I don't know if you know when her ex-husband at the time was dying, she was the last person he spoke to. And the last thing he said to her, and both they said to each other, I love you twice. He still loved her to the end of the day, even after they were.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, I remember that as well. But again, it was like
That's the relationship.
he had a dual. I mean, like I'm literally reading here. Said Hollywood procure a prostitutes. Scotty Bowers claimed that in his memoir Full Service that he had procured as many as 2 to 3 prostitutes a week for Arnaz, each of whom was paid $200 opposed to the usual 20. So again, the guy had you talk about how some people can, men compartmentalize their lives. Like I truly, some of these guys truly love their wives, but they have this other side of them that they can't keep their legs closed. I mean, it's unfortunate, but
from my understanding from the interviews I saw with his kids afterwards, and they said when he left the island back then, men were accepted in Cuba to be playboys, pretty much. Sleep around, drink.
that's a lot of cultures. Yeah, that's a lot of cultures.
Yeah, I'm not denying that.
Right.
But at the time, we're talking about his culture
Sure.
right now. So that was a comment, and when he came here with a culture shock, like, whoa, I can't do this. And he was good for a while. Then he always fell back in his ways. They got in an argument like, oh, you're in a newspaper. They got to argue. And they made up and make love and do the thing. And then a few weeks or a few months later, back at it again. And he's always rebuilding himself. And what made it worse for him, his drinking problem.
Yeah.
Later on in his life,
Yeah.
as he's got bigger, the company got bigger, they got bigger, his drinking became more and more and more. Cuban or Latinos are big drinkers, that I know at least. I don't know about you, Paul. All the Latinos I know are pretty good drinkers. I'm not saying they're alcoholic. They have a few drinks here and there. Hey, man, drink. Hey, the link is in the chat if you want to join us. So they like having a few drinks. So, and it got worse over time. So, drinking with his Playboy stuff,
It's a bad combination.
it's like dynamite.
Yeah.
She loved him more than the ground she walked on. That you cannot deny that. She did a lot for that guy. But again, it's just one of those things. It is a I wonder if they never broke up, what would have came out of the company?
Well, again, it's tough because again, she wanted this, but this has always been an issue. Like I said, she wanted to divorce him early on in 1944
Yeah.
over the same stuff. So it's like, how long as a wife do you keep putting up with the women, the drinking, and and then from what I also understand, he also had a gambling issue going on as well.
Correct. That is correct.
And so that's tough to ask someone to constantly stay in that particular situation, no matter how successful you are, or that you say, or and I'm not saying that they didn't love each other. I think she loved him just as much, even though she married again. She still loved him as well, but there's dysfunction that you just can't get over, and it's unfortunate.
Here's where also a lot of people don't know about this part of the story is when they first went out on the first date, drink, whatever you want to call it. They end up in the same, they end up at his hotel, apartment, whatever. They did the nasty together. Let's put it PG. And that morning, she picked up the phone, showing like, "Oh, I gotta call my fiance." He goes, "What?" He didn't know she was engaged. He goes, "Hang on." She called and ended the engagement right there because the other guy who's doing the same thing, what he was going to do it later on in the future, he would cheat on her, treat her like shit, and she had enough, and she found this Cuban guy. Maybe he can treat me better. She really didn't love the guy. She said it. I don't really love you.
Right.
But with Danzy, she was in love with him. And the sad part, they were trying to have kids multiple times. They had, I think, that 4 miscarriages before they had the first one, I believe.
Yeah, they had again. Lucy came very late, 11 years later. So
yeah, so you cannot deny their love for each other, and that's one thing the chemistry was so well. And where also a part of the story people don't understand what kind of start hurting them. Not only his drinking problem, his gambling problem, and his sleeping around problem. It came out later on in years that Lucy was a communist, part of the Communist Party.
Mm.
It was on the paper, and like because her uncle was part of the Communist Party,
right?
And she checked the box. Does it make him happy? She never
Yeah.
voted that way.
Yeah.
She never did any meetings. She didn't do any of that stuff.
But it came at a bad time because that was during the time we had the McCarthy, Senator McCarthy, and that whole McCarthyism era where they were trying to snuff out a lot of communists in the country, and a lot of those people who were registered communists were in the Hollywood acting community. Correct. So a lot of those people were on blacklists and blackballed in Hollywood and whatnot. They were called up on the to Congress to testify before the Senates and whatnot. So it was always a thing. Hollywood has always had somewhat of an adversarial relationship with the government over their not only their outspokenness but also some of their political activities. It's weird because that kind of sounds like how it is today. Hollywood's always pushing back against especially this current administration in terms of its things. And certainly shout out to rest in peace to Rob Reiner, who I also grew up on. Also, if you ever watch All in the Family, Archie Bunker, I grew up on that guy. And then his movies like A Few Good Men, which is still one of my favorite movies to this day. I watch it at least once a year. He has some great films that he came out with. So again, you always had this relationship between Hollywood and the government, and certainly back then when McCarthy was basically going around, labeling people as communists or whatnot. That was a big issue at the time. That there was a lot of activities. In fact, if you watch the movie Oppenheimer. That was also a major portion of the film in terms of the government's efforts to sort of find or root out those with communist or communist leanings. And certainly Oppenheimer early on was also associated with the communist parties that he was dealing with, which, again, a lot of scientists at the time, either they were into or a lot of those scientists came from communist areas. And, so that was always an issue there. So they had a lot to deal with and certainly overcome. But the popularity of the show is certainly undeniable. And also, I give her credit for being, at least to my knowledge, like the first real comedian, You know what I'm saying? It's like I don't remember anyone before her, and quite frankly, I only know of a couple names that I can think of offhand that came after her. Right? I'm talking about comedians in the sense of terms of slapstick, in terms of them being the butt of the joke. The only other woman that I know of in television history that had that kind of comedic range to make fun of themselves was Carol Burnett. So that was like in the 70s. That was almost the 70s version of Lucille Ball. Carol Burnett, through her comedy, Shirley would play the butt of the joke or whatever, and then the only thing after that would be like SNL. So if you look at all the female comedians on SNL, those are the only ones. But when's the last time you've seen a comedy show in the 80s and beyond where the female lead was the butt of the joke? You don't see it, you know. But she was certainly willing to take that on and take the pies in the face and get, you know, get the laugh tracks and things of that nature. Not too many women are doing that today. You know, I mean, that kind of slapstick kind of comedy, it's a rare art that's seldom practiced today.
So I want to give some honorable mentions really fast. I'm not here. If you guys want to get more information deep, like me and Paul know really well about this stuff, is a couple movies that help you out with this. It's where's the first one? It's on Amazon. Beginning the Richin is about literally talks about the whole scandal. Lucy and Des is another good one, and the last one is Lucy. They're pretty good movies. One that came out in 21, and you can free on Amazon. The other one came out in 22, and the other ones came out in 03. All three movies are awesome. Highly recommend and watch them. They're long, but it's worth the sit.
Are they documentaries or are they like movies? Like, you know, someone playing Lucille Ball?
Two of them are documentaries / movies. The third one is more like a movie.
Got it. Okay. So someone's playing Lucille Ball and
yeah. So the first one I mentioned on Amazon, Desi and Beginning of Richie, that is a documentary / movie. So there's whoever lived that time, who's still living, gave their interviews between their clips. So these two actors are playing there about doing like blah, 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 whatever. Then he stops. It goes into the guys like, man, that time was a rough time. And things like one lady says, man, I lived through depression. I lived through this. That was a scary time, but nothing was scared shit out of me, she says in the beginning in the movie. So that was a great insight of behind the scenes that a lot of people didn't see. When they weren't trying to kill each other, they loved each other. That was the problem. Like, think what I'm saying? Not trying to kill each other, you love each other.
But see, it's almost like what we talked about on your show Tuesday night.
Yeah.
We talked about, you know, fake love or what have you. All that can be there, right? And I think there is such a thing as natural chemistry, just someone who you just, like you said, the first date they had, they kind of did the deed, you know?
Well, there is another version as well. It's called a love-hate relationship.
Yeah. That's a good one, Eric. I forgot about Fran Dresser, the nanny. That's a good one. I'll give you that one. That's a good. Thanks for reminding me of that one. That was a good reference. But I don't even think it was necessarily, like I said, love and hate. I just think that if you want something to last, respecting boundaries and whatnot, I think that has to be there. I mean, but passion in and of itself can't sustain a relationship. You gotta be willing to live within some parameters. And the bottom line was he wasn't. And I don't know what she might have been doing on the side. I don't know. You know, there's always two sides to every story. But, you know, certainly him being who he was, love or the declarations of love, all besides. You can't sustain a long-term relationship that way, thinking that, you know, you can either, you know, just sweet talk your way out of it or whatever. I mean, you gotta you know, have some faithfulness or whatever, unless that's open. Now, I've seen some open relationships where people kind of go out and do their thing, but even then there's some rules, right? The rules is like, okay, don't let stuff get out. Keep your stuff private or whatever. No scandals. I don't want to read about your affairs in the paper. But the problem was, even with him, people were starting to find out he was reckless. So people started finding stuff out, and that, that's tougher to live under, especially given that at the time she was like, considered the most powerful woman in television.
Not only that, Paul, I think she changed how we looked at women at the time.
Oh, yeah.
You changed television as a woman, and you changed comedy as a woman. She wasn't like I said earlier at the beginning of the show, I have, this very well. I have trauma from the past, so laughing is very hard for me. She's one of the few people who make me laugh every single time. So she used to say it in the video, one of the movies I mentioned. I'm not a stand-up comedian. I'm a comedy actress. Two different things. She's right about that. They're two different things. And when people transition from stand-up to actually acting comedian, sometimes it doesn't work out that well. But she skipped the stand-up, went into the comedian part, and she was brilliant. And I had to use Greg's one of his favorite words, brilliant. I think she was. If she was around today, I think she will be so desirable to be in movies, and people couldn't get enough of her. To be honest with you.
I don't know, because I don't think, again, outside of Eric's reference to Fran Drescher, I mean, that was good. You just don't see too many female, even comedic actresses that take it there like that. I think almost the image of what it means to be a woman in 2025 is such where, you want to be taken seriously, you want to be looked at in a certain image. But for someone to literally make fun of themselves, to take the pie in the face, right? That image, I don't think jives with how a lot of women, especially in America, want to see themselves. Which is why you don't see, I think, a lot of comedians or comedic actresses doing those things. Again, I ask you, outside of that reference, which I forgot about, when was the last time you saw it? Who would consider today to be that kind of comedic actress? I know stand-up comedians, like I know, like, you can go to a comedy show and watch some female comedians, but as far as
who is that comedian who is she's female, but she also played in movies. She's a short, fat girl. She played in cop movies, comedian. She played as a criminal in another one.
You're talking about from Mike and Molly. Who's that actress from Mike and Molly? Let me look her up. Mulvaney is her name.
Do you know who I'm on about, though?
Yeah. McCarthy. Her name is McCarthy.
Yeah. She was also in Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's a comedian.
Yeah, Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Yeah. But again, but she's not taking the brunt of the joke. I'm talking like Lucy did everything.
Yeah, she was the target.
She was the target. She would take the pot. She would be the embarrassment. I'm not saying you don't have comedic actresses, but I'm just saying today it's different. In that they always have to get, like, even in Mike and Molly, she had to kind of be a little bit smarter than him. If you look at like Everybody Loves Raymond or something like that, it's like the comedic wife has to have a one-up on the husband. All right. The husband's going to be a little slower, a little dumber than the wife. But with Lucy, she was willing to be the one to be the not so smart one, or the one that would make the mistake, or she would have to apologize at the end of the bit.
Okay.
But today it's you don't see, especially in a lot of these comedies, you don't see the woman being extra. You don't
see the woman be the butt of the joke.
No, because I just don't think that fits the the image, and you want to say that's feminism. How I want to turn this to a political discussion, but that image doesn't jive with today's taste, and that happens throughout comedy. Like, I mean, you would know it more than anybody. The Benny Hill show. There's no way you could do Benny Hill today. I mean, there's no way you could do it. They wouldn't. They couldn't stand for as successful as that show was for decades, even up to the early '90s.
Yeah.
When views of women changed and be like, look, we don't want women scantily clad in these bits. I forget what the name of the dancers were, the women in the show. But that kind of it just wore differently with people, and sensibilities have changed. So you have to go about your comedy being a bit more witty than before. But for a woman to get up there and take the pie in the face, which, like I said, Carol Burnett did it. To a small extent, Fran Drescher did it in The Nanny.
Yeah.
You don't see those kind of rude. Okay, yeah. So again, from the '60s and the '70s and whatnot, I mean, they were willing to do that kind of stuff.
So
And
I
that,
would say safely in 2025, in 2026, right now, where we're going into, nothing comes to memory. To be honest with you,
yeah,
okay, not even one I can think of a name like nothing's coming to my name. Let's put this. Let's ask the chat too. If you guys think it's somebody too,
well, again, Eric has some names up, but again, these are older, not today. But look
Today,
at
I'm
or if you look at his
today.
last post today, yeah. But all those actors from the '70s. But I think comedy in general has changed. I mean, you have to be able to think like witty. I think you know who the modern comedian, and actually this is an old concept. You want to know what that's still with the model from the '50s that's still today is the Honeymooners, because Alice Cramden was never got taken up by Ralph. Ralph was the butt of the joke.
Sure.
Alice was the one that came back with the witty one-liners and whatnot to kind of check Ralph when he was acting silly or whatever. I think that model is still pretty much the model of today when it comes, especially on shows like Everyone Loves Raymond. She was the one when Ray was just being a total, doofus.
Yeah.
She was the one that set him straight. You know what I'm saying? And I think that is the model that I think a lot of women today are comfortable with, not the butt of the joke.
Same thing with All in the Family. She took
Yeah, you'll never see Edith Bunker like that again. No, Edith Bunker, you'll never see that character again. As much as beloved as that show was, you just no. Women they don't want that kind of. And again, and it's weird for me because I was literally watching something that was on TV today. I was asking my daughter about it. I think it was like Everybody Hates Chris. I think she was watching that today about Chris Rock. And I was asking, it's like, is there any, and I haven't watched the show. Like I said, I don't watch a lot of television, period. So I'm not even up on a lot of the shows that are on. But I just asked, is there any positive male image on that show?
No,
and she couldn't tell me. It's like any comedy, right? That's on today. The image of the man has always been a bit of a sore spot with me. Like, why can't the guy be smart? Why can't the guy be, have answers? Why can't he be witty or whatever? It's like, it's always the woman, always the guy has to be somewhat dumb. Like I said, when Everyone Loves Raymond, which ran for years, I mean, everybody watched that show.
I think Prince was a little bit like that, as you're talking about.
Well, Uncle Phil, I would probably give Uncle Phil from Fresh Prince. I may give him, he at least tried to play it straight, at least most of the time. Like especially there were certain shows where he had to step up and be a man in that show.
That was a brilliant show from the 90s. That really was. Fresh Prince.
Yeah.
And another one I would say close to that too was Family Matters with Carl Wisno.
Yeah, again, there were a lot, but again, you're talking 30 years. The TV dads of the night, even though forget all the scandals that he might have had. Bill Cosby, the Cosby Show in the 80s, he was the top TV dad. He was like exactly the image, especially the image of a black man, a successful man, a doctor, family guy, cared about people. He would take the butt of the joke, but again, he still, when he had to step up and do the right thing, he always did. I mean, he was definitely the right model for that. But like I said, the guy from Family Matters, Uncle Phil from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, There were a lot of them, but now it's like all these guys on TV, they're just like, it's hard to watch. Because if the image of the man today has to be this imbecile, in order to make the female cast or whatever around looks good, it's a turnoff to me. So I can certainly appreciate a woman not wanting to see another woman be made the butt of the joke. I get that, but I think that's where you get smarter comedies, like Friends, for example. I think having witty people around or whatnot, or just making the situation funny and how you respond to it, or shows like The Office or things like that. I think that's kind of where things are at. People can be quirky and whatnot, or they can have their own idiosyncrasies. But Lucy, I don't think you won't see that kind of character in going forward. I just think people don't want to go back to those times unless you want an old person who grew up on that stuff. But the modern woman, the female image, it won't allow it.
I agree with you, because the way things are, the way our generation is heading to, you cannot have a woman lead actress be the target. You need to have somebody who is more braver now these days, who want more bolder and kind of put the man in his place, not the other way around.
Yeah.
Back then, obviously we're talking about a different time. The man was ahead. He made the rules in the house, and you saw that in I Love Lucy. And she fucked up. Lucy, what did you do this time? My accent's out with that.
Yeah. What did you think about when he started speaking Spanish? I can almost imagine like a Greek version of the show. If Ricky was Greek and Lucy messes up and he starts going off in Greek, that would be hilarious.
Like going off and like Mori putana tiega moto kerato second spariga plus tinita moto kerato amoti to sugami so to muni puse.
That would be hilarious too. Now it's interesting. Now that would have been a nice. I'm thinking if Greece wanted to kind of have almost like a spinoff, but it's an American or maybe even a British wife with a Greek husband. That would have been, especially when you had the movie like My Big Fat Greek Wedding. That could have been you could have maybe had some sort of spinoff like that where you had a Greek man with his American wife and how that whole dynamic works. In fact, didn't they have a TV series at one point? Wasn't there a spinoff TV series or something?
I think so. I'll look it up right now. But I don't think it went really well. I think it was really bad, actually. Yes,
it was My Big Fat Greek Life.
It was I put it this way: I watched one, and that's it. It was
that was it.
Like it was pretty bad reviews. It wasn't. The punchline wasn't good. It was too much. The ratings were actually right now. Hang on a second. It got from IBM 4.7 out of 10. TV Guide gave it 40%. Yeah. Trying to tell you more. That's how bad it was.
Yeah, nah. I mean, it's
and
definitely it was
original actors too. The guy who played her husband, it was a different actor, so it kind of took mystique out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the girl who played Nikki was a different girl. So, but the father was the same one. The mother was the same one. Obviously, Nina, who is Nina Vasapoulos, that's her real name, is Nina Miller, who played the main character. She was in. It wasn't even the. Here's the thing. Also with that movie, bro. Then it came back with My Fat Greek Wedding 2 and My Fat Greek Wedding 3. Both of them weren't as accepted as well because you're doing a movie years later as a spinoff or part 2, part 3. You lost mystique after waiting for so long. Yeah, I'm sorry, you can't.
All right. Oh, I got another a bit of trivia for you guys.
All right, I'm listening.
So Lucy, what was one thing about their marriage that you would look at today would be like very
Rare.
strange?
Rare.
What's that?
It'd be very rare.
I'm saying, but there's an aspect of the show. In fact, this took place for 4 seasons. That was, by any standard, totally foreign, or just not what most marriages were. There was one aspect of the show; it was in your face almost every episode.
Her trying to get on the act with him.
No,
I'm not sure that.
they slept in separate beds.
The first half of seasons, yes.
No, for the first 4 years, they didn't sleep in the same bed until 1955. The show ran from 1951 to 1957. It was during the 1955 season they finally put them in the same bed because, again, FCC regulations, or just the people at the time, they did not want to portray for family values, which doesn't make any sense to me, but that wasn't allowed.
See, I'm going to push back a little bit here, Paul. I'm going to explain to you why. So back, my grandparents were, alive. It was common back then to married couples to sleep in different beds, believe it or not.
In the same room?
Yes. My grandparents slept in the same room in separate beds on 2 different sides of the house.
But is that that's common?
Yeah.
My grandparents
in Europe
in the 90s. My granddad died in the 90s, but yeah, they shared separate beds in the same room. My grandparents did. My granddad, my dad's side, my nan had her own bed in a separate room.
That I can see. Because especially if one's, for example, if one's a smoker and one isn't, or if one's a big time snorer and the other one isn't. I know couples that where they've had separate bedrooms. But I'm saying, but in the same room.
My mum's side, my nan and my granddad, my mum's
Wow.
side, they were having
like I
the
said,
same
my
bed.
grandparents, for most of their
But was that the norm, Peter? I'm not talking about. This is supposed to be a TV show about a modern American couple.
I said on my mum's side, my nan and granddad, right? They shared the same room but slept in separate beds. There was 2 single beds.
I get that, but I'm talking about the norm because again, it was a thing that's been brought up for years. And I read up on it again because of FCC or whatever. They did not want that shown because obviously kids watch the show. But again, I don't understand why. But again, we were much more puritanical back then. And you didn't want that kind of imagery.
Different times, different periods.
In the 70s, yeah, you were in the same bed. Brady Bunch and everything. Everybody, Carolyn and Greg slept slept in the same bed. It was no issues. By the 60s and 70s, that was the norm. In the 50s, no, they did not show that on TV. Sponsors would have a fit if you tried to show that on TV because of the
because they were like they did a lot of kissing on camera and all that stuff. So the bad thing, I didn't see the difference. But at least in Europe, where I was coming from, people slept in different beds. It was very common back then for that. It was okay. It was normal. And they were in the same room. The States might be completely different here. And like from my understanding, from my research, most people in the 50s and 40s slept in the same bed in the States over in States here. But in Europe, they had their own beds.
That is strange. If Mary Anderson, Chad, I wouldn't mind getting from her. From your side of the family, was that a norm? I'm not saying it didn't happen for you guys. I'm saying, is that normal? And but I would also ask, what is the reason why? Like I say, look, if one's a bedwetter and the other one isn't, I can see that. But I'm just saying, why? That makes no sense, especially if you're a young, virile couple. Sleeping in the same, but that was the 60s, Eric. I'm saying this is the 50s. I'm saying the 50s, different censorship was at like we're in a puritanical situation. at that particular time. And it's interesting because what I also saw from the show, an interesting tidbit from the show is when she was pregnant with Desi Arnaz Jr., and that was like a big thing, like the end of season 2. That was a major storyline, the big thing at the end where she announces, she wasn't allowed to use the word pregnant on the show. It was not allowed. They did not say the word pregnant. I'm telling you. So again, different values of the time. This is a married couple sleeping in separate beds. I'll give you that maybe some couples did that back in the day. I still don't think that's the norm. Maybe in Europe or maybe in other countries it might have been the norm, but because I'd be no. And look, I don't care if I got to sleep. If we're sleeping in a twin bed, I'm not sleeping in another bed without my wife. That was never going to be the thing ever. If we got to sleep in a twin bed, I'll sleep in a sleeping bag. In fact, that's kind of fun actually. I'll sleep in a sleeping bag with my wife, but separate beds, just out of, this is just the norm. No way.
Growing up, there must have been a norm to do that. And so a lot of houses.
No, I'm telling you, it was censorship. I'm telling you.
Really?
Back then,
It was quite common over here back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Growing up, people growing up.
But again, you saw a major change though. Remember what that stat I told you at the beginning? 1945, 10,000 sets. 1950, 6 million sets. 1960, 60 million sets. And in that time, and you guys know how I like that period of history, the 60s in particular, a lot of values changed, right? Woodstock, the Vietnam War, a lot of that traditional family values changed radically in the 60s.
Yeah.
And a lot of that stuff was, free love, all that started in the 60s. Drug culture, LSD, all that was the 60s. The Doors, and you saw it in the act. The Doors, Jimi Hendrix, the Beatles. Again, it was a totally radical decade of change where those kind of traditional family values and whatnot, people weren't as caught up on that stuff. But back then, it was a very conservative, WASP, pro-Christian, pro-Catholic nation back then.
Yeah. And
there were certain images they weren't going to allow. There were certain songs that wouldn't be played on radio. Like there were a lot of, especially songs, there were a ton of songs. I mean, even rock and roll that started in the late 50s, a lot of that stuff was banned. Or they had to, when Little Richard talked about Tutti Frutti, the original song, it's not safe for FCC airwaves, even today. They hid a lot of stuff.
So, Greg, you should understand back then, between the 40s and 50s, like the way men dressed back then. You never left the house not wearing some type of suit. That's how you dressed.
Yeah. You went to everywhere. You went to a baseball game. Imagine going to a baseball game or a football game. You look at that old footage. Everybody wore suits.
Even at home.
You never left the house without a suit for any occasion.
Yeah. You got to think like back in the 1920s, they had to wear, women couldn't go in the water and men had to wear full from neck to knees outfits to go in the sea.
Mm-hmm. That's a great example. Like during the Titanic era, and they were dressing, differently. There were corsets and all of that stuff. In the 40s and 50s, men always wear suits, even if you're just laying around the house, listening to the radio or watching TV. If you were lucky enough to have one, or just reading a newspaper. If you're not wearing the top suit, at least you're wearing a button down with dress pants. That was the normal clothes. Like now, these normal clothes are t-shirts and sweatpants. They didn't have sweatpants back then. There was things. If you hang on a second, Greg. If I said to you in the 40s, do you ever wear? You know what sweatpants are? You're gonna look at me like, what the fuck is a sweatpant? Simple. Go ahead, Greg. What were you gonna say?
You mean trousers?
Pretty much, yeah.
Sorry, you guys in America sound different. Where you say pants, that's underwear in our term. That's what we call pants. Trousers is what you call pants. Sorry, but
I can get you up to date with our angle. But no, seriously, like, even back then, like, underwear, great example. A lot of men in the 60s and 70s, even 80s, went to the briefs. And that was the comfort. Back then in the 40s and 50s, boxers were the thing most men wear.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a boxer guy. So,
So straight up boxers?
yeah, I'm a boxer guy.
Not boxer briefs, but
No,
boxers.
I can't stand those. The Kraken needs to breathe, and the guy Kraken, is kind of big down there, dude.
All I gotta say is make sure when you go to the bathroom, make sure you shake it at least 3 times. All right, that's all I gotta
any
say.
more than 3 times is a waste.
You've reached
I'm just saying, if you leave a little trickle in there, you're gonna have this cold feeling down the side of your leg. I'm just saying.
I honestly, when I was a kid, it was briefers, and when I got a little older, like, I think in my early teens, like 12, 13, 14, around there, when I've heard, like, the first time, yeah, I did, and he's shaking up, I'm like, ooh, what's up with three down there? Ooh, ooh. But I didn't know any better. I was a kid still at the time. You know what I'm saying? I was learning myself. But no, I don't.
Right.
What, you're a briefer boxer guy, dude?
I'm a boxer brief, or I'll still wear the skeevies. You know, I got the body for it. I'll still Speedo.
Dude, don't ever go to the gym like that. You might scare everyone in it.
No, I mean I'll wear it proper to the gym, but in fact I'll definitely wear the longer box if I'm at a gym. But I work out at home mostly, so yeah, you let everything hang out. But that being said,
No.
But yeah, boxer. I gave up boxers a while ago because again, you just never know. You think you got the last trickle out, and as soon as you put it back in, boop,
I just got it in with you.
psych.
We're
So,
European men, Paul, because most European men are not circumcised, so we gotta shake a little extra.
Dude, please don't. I've already had an image. I've already just had a bad image of Paul in my head. Please don't.
like my mother said to me a while back when we were talking about circumcised and non-circumcised, that looks like a naked dick to me. She went to me. You know how my mother is, Paul.
So wait a minute. In the Orthodox Church, you guys don't.
No, it's not Orthodox. It's actually a European thing. They don't do that over there.
I know that, but I'm saying, but Greeks don't typically circumcise. Is that?
If you were born in the States, they will do it. You know what I'm saying? Now it became to a point. Now is a option. They ask you at the
We're moving into just a side note, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll get back to the show.
Yeah.
No one's coming in.
This show's taking a turn.
No one's
So
coming
we're
in with me with a pair of scissors.
maybe that's a gray area show. I don't know. Talk about circumcision. We need it's the circumcised or not. That's a gray. Yeah, that's a gray. All right, I'm gonna mark that. That's a gray area show. We'll tackle that topic.
Very fast, a funny story. One of my old chefs, he got his circumcised. I think how old was he? In his 50s.
Oh,
Coming,
what?
Yeah, he comes limping in. I'm like, what the fuck happened to you, dude? I can't tell you. Oh, now you gotta fucking tell me. And his wife worked with us. I'm like, not in our department, but she worked in housekeeping. And he goes like, if I tell you, promise you're not gonna tell my wife. I'm like, oh, I can't promise you anything. I might make fucking mouth. He goes, I got my thing clipped. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking? I thought he got snipped. He didn't want my kids. I'm like, no. I got circumcised. Like, and he was dirty. I'm not gonna deny that, bro. He wasn't the cleanest guy in the world. So I'm not surprised.
That is. Ugh.
So
That's nasty.
yeah, like pull the skin back and wash it out, dude.
Oh god. Do you know what we call that in the Britain?
What was that?
Smeg.
Snake?
No, smeg.
Yeah, smeg or smegma. Yeah, I've heard that here too.
Let's get back on topic.
Yes,
Before we get copy strikes or some shit.
But I'm still on that again. As far as, but I remember even as a kid, that was like very strange to me. I used to ask, why are they sleeping in separate beds?
But in the 40s and 50s, that may be the normal back.
That's Marianne. I'd be curious to hear if she's still in the chat, or King. I don't know if he's still in the chat, but I'd be very curious if that is what you
Well, you should
recall
have remembered that.
your parents, or is that part of the culture where you sleep in separate? But I still don't understand why. I mean, you guys say it happened, but I'm asking why. Why two young, virile couples would sleep in separate beds? Like I said, unless one's a bedwetter, I can get. If you're a snorer, being in the same room is not going to help matter. So why be in separate beds? That I don't. What was the logical reason behind that?
Okay, I just looked up in ChatGPT. It says here, yes, it was the normal for married couples to sleep in separate beds in the 1940s and 1950s, especially how life was slow. Shows popular on TV. And it goes on real TV / all that bullshit. It was a normal back then. The same.
It was or was not?
It was.
Man.
Want me to share my screen and show you?
Hold on.
Yeah, I want to see that. I want to see that. I want to see that reference.
Hang on 1 second.
Yeah.
Let me do mine first. I'll pull yours next. Okay. Right here. I'm gonna highlight it too.
All right, can you blow it out? I can barely see it. Can you blow that up?
Let me find that setting here somewhere. Is that good? Or you want more?
Is it normal to sleep defense? Okay, with different beds. Well, it says especially in life on TV. In real life, many married people did share bed, particularly working class or smaller homes. On television, couples were almost always shown in two separate beds. Why separate beds were common? Again, on television. Again, censorship, as I said earlier, modesty norms, cultural image of a proper marriage.
Mm-hmm. From my understanding right now, like it seems like it was a normal poll. Am I misreading this?
Certainly on TV, so in the UK in the 40s, both sleeping in the same double bed and in a separate bed were common arrangements for married couples. The practice often depended on social class, personal preference, and available space.
Well, if you think about it, in the US, your house
Thank you,
is
Kate.
actually 3 times bigger than what we have over here. Yeah? Everything.
Well, yeah, I'm saying if you're sleeping in a very small twin bed, I get that. But again, snoring is not going to, thank you for sharing that. But again, snoring, if you're in the same room, how's that going to help you though?
It's not.
Separate rooms, yes. But never seen that growing up unless they were angry with each other.
Like
that's a.
I saw it when they were not even, arguing or nothing like that. It was just the normal for grandparents to do that. Older people, like I spoke to a lot of people, like they always slept in separate beds. It was like the normal back then in the 40s and 50s. Maybe over in the Europe side, UK, Greece, and so on. Maybe here was different. I can't answer that question because I wasn't alive back then.
But that'd be the strangest. That'd be the strangest thing in the world, man. That's a total.
I'm an adult now, and I've done this myself in my relationships. If we're living together, we're not sleeping in 7 beds. I'm not even sleeping on the goddamn couch. I did it once. I will never do that shit ever again. I don't care if I'm mad or you're not. We're going to bed together. Simple as that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's how
I made me sleep in the bath once when I was snoring.
Yeah.
But that was quite funny. Seriously, Paul, I'm trying to make a point, right? You were born in the 1920s. You should know this.
No. Never. I've never seen it. Look, like I said, I've seen couples separate rooms. Because like I said, if the guy's a smoker and the wife isn't, having I get that as far as separate spaces, but in the same room, having a separate bed, separated by not, and the beds aren't even together, right? You got a nightstand that's separating the two.
Yeah.
I mean, you mean I can't spoon? I mean, come on, man. I mean,
I wonder about that every night.
That's a long stand. That's an acrobatic act. I don't see how you can spoon from. I'm just saying, and Pete, we already had a show on sleep, sleep activity. So yeah, so that would be next to impossible.
I'm not
If
disagreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you 100%. You know how I feel about this. 100%. I'm on your side. I'm on team presidents on this one. Is it weird? Yes, but we were talking about a different time. Things were weird back then. Okay, smoking. You just brought it up. One person smoked. It wasn't such thing you're a smoker or not smoker. Everybody should smoke back then.
everybody smoked. In fact, and that was a thing too, because like I said, Philip Morris was the major sponsor. And there was an interesting story about the Philip
Go
Morris
ahead.
because, like I said, they had cigarettes. Lucille Ball was very loyal to a particular cigarette brand. I forget the name of it. But even though Philip Morris sponsored the show, and if I understand, the total was like $8 million in advertising that Philip Morris spent on the I Love Lucy show, she would have assistants take the cigarettes from Philip Morris, empty out the pack, and put her cigarettes in the pack. And from what I understand, Philip Morris never knew about that. But I mean, I'm like, that's your biggest sponsor of the show. And even still, you're like, I'm smoking my own cigarettes. But just think about it. Just think about it back in the day, how when you talk about how common cigarette smoking was, everybody, newscasters, Walter Cronkite smoked on air, doing sporting events. You saw the anchors smoke on air on television shows. Men and women smoked on air. It was so common and prevalent in American culture for people to smoke before the Surgeon General started coming out with smoking could be bad on your health on the cigarette boxes. And then we saw later on how the Philip Morris and those companies lied about the addictive nature of cigarettes. They were saying, no, they're not addictive and all that. And that movie that came out with Russell Crowe a few years ago about the the industry and what they were covering up and everything, and he got blackballed in the industry for coming out. In fact, he did a 60 Minutes interview. The guy who came out that busted the cigarette companies and whatnot back in the day. So it's just amazing how prevalent smoking was in American culture. There might have been a time when the majority of American adults smoked, and now how it's such a smaller. I mean, you still have millions of people who smoke, but it's amazing how that turned in the decades since.
From a billion people to a million. Okay, that's a big difference too. So now she changed her brand. Yeah, brand makes a difference, dude. I'm not gonna deny that. I'm a smoker. I'm gonna tell you that. Like I smoke Marlboro. If somebody hands me a Newport, yeah, I'll smoke it if I'm desperate. But I prefer not to. I smoke my Marlboro Black Menthols. That's what I smoke. A Camel, I cannot touch Camels. They bother my throat. They're too harsh for me. Like back in those era, we're talking about 40s and 50s when they went to the military. Part of their uniform, what
just
they got Camels as a sponsor. They got a Camel Zippo and a Camel pack of cigarettes.
That's right.
That was normal. And I remember the one episode that they switched roles. Lucy went to work and he became the housewife or husband. At one side, he had his lighter, a Zippo lighter he had always. And the other side is he had his cigarettes hanging. And when he had rolled his sleeves up and he's tucked it in there. That was normal. And you're right. Everybody smoked. It didn't matter if you were on the train, the airline. That was horrible.
Yeah, they going to the game, the sporting event. Like imagine you being in the stands in the stadium and everybody next to you left and right is smoking. I mean,
you were it's rare.
It's a different world today. No question.
Somebody said, "Hey, I don't smoke. Thank you." They would look at her like, "Okay, that's a little odd."
Yeah, either you were very religious or whatever, but even then, I mean, I don't remember too many priests smoking back then. Really?
Yeah, I know a lot of priests over in Greece smoke. Father Panayoti, who's same name as mine, he was a big smoker. A good example. How many times he used to send me because we had a little called like periptero. I saw like a little like a 7-Eleven thinking of it, right? Well, out and like only get food you can get is like it's already wrapped like not gyros, like stuff croissants, candy, ice stuff like that,
Yeah.
and they sell cigarettes, newspapers, and stuff like that, like a newsstand. That's the best way to explain it, like a newsstand.
Gotcha.
And he
Gotcha.
goes to me,
Yep.
he gives me money. Here you go, Panagiotti. Go give me my pack of cigarettes. Okay, father. Can Father Pano get his? That's why I used to tell him. Can Father Pano get his cigarettes? Sure. Here you go. They knew what his brand was. That's the same Father Panayotti. I come back, give him the change. He goes, good boy. He goes to me, like, he gave me a little bless. He goes, thank you. Like, now I look back, like, you're blessing me after I bought you cigarettes. Kind of take to each other a little bit.
So I guess the Orthodox Church, they never had like an official statement on smoking or whatever, or they just kind of, it's just a vice that they just allowed.
Yes. I never really asked, to be honest with you. I'll ask Father when I see him tomorrow, but I was not positive about that either. Like Father Costantino, he does not smoke. And I joked around a couple times, like, yo, we should go to cigar lounge together. Like, I'll pass. Let's go get coffee instead. Like, maybe his father's a smoker. I know a lot of Greeks who are very heavy smokers. Now a lot of them are more vaping than smoking. I get like, dude, how many times I walked in diners and they're in a corner smoking inside. I'm like, dude, you're not supposed to be smoking in here. I'm like, it's my building. What are you gonna do about it? Like, nothing. I'm just saying you're not supposed to.
Well,
that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's all the same crap. Smoking just consider themselves isn't to try to be hip. I guess I really don't know to answer that question because I wasn't around that time, to be honest. But smoking was a thing. How many times you saw people doing commercials or have a cigarette? Like, if it's not a Marvel,
yeah, the television ads on TV. Like I said, I mean, through until the 70s, you had ads on TV for smoking and also dipping and smokeless tobacco and all kinds of products. Even through the 80s, I remember seeing TV shows like that or commercials. And today's you just don't have that. You just don't have that kind of advertising anymore. It's like I'm sort of surprised how these guys sort of make money that way. But yeah, I mean, it's the show's dynamic was very. It was just very interesting. But like I said, it definitely worked for the time.
absolutely.
Yeah. Another tidbit I got was the Mertz, Fred and Ethel, they couldn't stand each other. Hated each other in real life on the show. Fred,
if I remember correctly, they were never married in real life either.
No. They were like 20 years age difference or whatnot. William Frawley. He did a lot of movies. They both did stage work, but he did a lot of movies. He had like almost 100 movies to his credit by the time of the show, and they just couldn't stand each other. But they were very professional. They were able to have a very sort of almost, but you saw it just like on the show, it was like this sort of antagonizing type of relationship or whatnot. But they made it work. They were true pros, but they almost like they didn't want to let it get out. That they didn't want to get out that there's all these tensions on the show, and I think Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz, they really tried hard to make sure that didn't get out on the show. They always had the picture of unity on the show, but they could not stand each other. And interesting that how Fred got on the show, hers got on the show was because of, again, Desi wanted him on the show. So again, he cast it right. For the show, and they were there, the whole time.
That makes sense because one of the documentaries I was watching, it shows, them around the actor the pre-rehearsral. They're going over the script, what they're going to change, what they're going to change, and those two are like kind of. You can see they were butting heads in the beginning scene.
Yeah,
but they really weren't. They were professional still.
Yeah, for sure. They definitely kept it. They definitely kept it professional. But yeah, that was
came to my head as you mentioned that. So during World War II, he got drafted. Daisy. And also that might do him so good. He won't be amongst as a playboy and reckless and all this stuff. During he was stationed somewhere close because he got injured during boot camp. So he was doing the same thing he was doing in real life, singing and dancing and acting, help raise spirits for the for the troops. During that time in his service, he was more a playboy. Coming back out, he was worse. So that's where the second divorce came in.
Yeah.
Oh, I want
Yeah.
to bring that up really fast too. I forgot to mention that earlier.
Yeah. Yeah. But I guess as we talk about, because we talked a lot about the background of the shows and whatnot, what was your favorite? Because there were three major sort of themes or incarnations of the show. The first one was in New York, where they were in the apartment and Desi performed at the club. Then they did a series of shows where he got an opportunity to travel overseas, and so they did a lot of shows, a lot of the episodes where they were traveling the world. They were in Europe and all these places, and then the latter shows they were in the country. Right? They moved this, so they had Little Ricky. He was growing up, and then they moved to the country, and that was like another aspect of the show. So out of those three versions of the show, what was your favorite sort of incarnation of the show?
I'll say New York was my favorite one when they were in New York. Because that's the most I have watched. It was the New York part of it. And
Yeah.
I did watch the overseas one, but not as much. I know they were in Hollywood at one point too. A little.
Yeah. That was where Ricky, he really got his big break to really like travel, because he was like a local nightclub act or something, but he got an opportunity to do a lot of big shows overseas and the like. And, so that was like his breakout. But then, like I said, the fact that the show after that, the fact that they moved it to a country setting, I think I agree with you, because also the shows that I probably enjoyed the most were in New York, like when they were in the chocolate factory and she's trying to pack the chocolates and she's putting them in her mouth and she's putting them in her breasts and she's doing all that. The Vitamita Vegemin commercial where she's drinking the stuff, that was so you're talking about
the one she was overseas. I can't remember if they were traveling because he's a music business or they were traveling to visit his family. They went back to Cuba. And they were looking at he was at a cigar factory. I can't remember the whole thing. I gotta rewatch it. And she's rolling a cigar and she's rolling it and rolling it and rolling it. He's like, and hey man, that guy was looking at him like, what the fuck is going on here? She rolled like literally a 20-foot cigar and she didn't know what the fuck she was doing.
Right.
I don't know if you
another tidbit that I learned, remember the one when they were in Europe and they were in the she was in the wine pit.
I remember that.
And she was stomping within the girl. They said that was an actual fight because the woman who was in there, she was a real wine. She was like an old school wine stomper. And she wasn't an actress at all. And apparently there was a scene where Lucy was trying to get her. She slipped and she accidentally hit her. And then the woman pushed on her back. And that, what you saw, that was a real fight. They actually cut some bits of that out for the show.
Really?
But that was like real. She said she almost drowned. Like she was literally choking Lucy and like had her kind of at the bottom of the wine press. And she almost died because she's like, she had grapes in her nose and in her mouth and everything. And so she almost drowned in that was a shoot, if you will.
That means that was the early years of WWE Diva division.
That was actually quite funny because I watched that clip tonight a little bit, right?
Yeah, but that was a real. For one saying that was a real fight,
right? She's like, get in, yeah, sort of thing. So Lucy's thinking, okay, I'll get in. There's like this little tub right next to it. She's actually stepping in a little tub and she's moving her feet up and down. She's really enjoying it. But as soon as the wine woman gets into the massive vat of bloody berries, I thought this was it, sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? So she's getting into the massive wine vat thing, right? And she's getting it's like, oh, look on her face like, I don't like this. I don't like this.
So two things really fast. One, in Greece, actually, they still stump wine in the old ways. You know, they stump it. Like,
they still
yeah. They have to wash their feet and everything, but they still stump it. Another episode I think was hilarious. They were back in New York when she glued the beard, the fake beard, and they actually used cement glue versus a face glue, and she couldn't take it off. And it was Fred's idea, like, Oops, I give you the wrong glue. My bad.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was, yeah. And then the one where she was, I guess she tried to play like she was a statue or like a clay statue. She cut a hole in the table and she put her head through the
I remember that. Yeah.
through the table or whatnot. So she had to kind of play that off, and they were like messing with it and all this kind of stuff. And finally, when the gig was up, I mean, again,
Here's another one.
she did think,
They were singing,
yeah,
and they were doing like a bit about barber shaving back then. And every time she tried to open her mouth, they would always shove something in her mouth.
yes, Sweet Carol. I think Sweet Carol.
Yeah.
They will put
The first time they covered her face with a rag. The second time,
yeah, because she was always trying to get into his comedy show. So that was like a major. Yeah, so yeah, I probably agree with you. The New York ones were probably the best and the funniest, and then like I said, the country ones I wasn't as thrilled with, because again, what are you going to do there, in that scenario? And I get it, maybe they thought country life might be better for Ricky and all that, little Ricky, but yeah, I think the comedic goals
for real life, because in real life they actually had a ranch that had animals and everything. And one thing they used to argue about, he liked to slaughter his cattle, have fresh meat and everything. She was pissed about that. She hated that part about him, because they're part of the family, and like the cows, the cats, and everything. I mean the cows. I mean the cats. The cows, the cows, the chickens, and all that stuff. They were a part of the family. They felt you're eating your family member, pretty much the same.
Yeah, well, they say ignorance is bliss. Don't, if you don't want to find out how the sausage is made, don't hash. Just eat. But yeah, I think that, like I said, the show, I think it, on so many levels, it broke ground and it set the stage for modern comedies. Like I said, the three cameras, just that sort of modern American family, the way they able to do it. I just think it was brilliant. But like I said earlier, it's like it could have. You never know what they could have done if they were able to stick it out. But again, him and his ways, unfortunately, so you just be thankful for what we were able to get. And it was brilliant. And like I said, Desilu Productions, they produce so many shows. But again, for us Star Trek fans, again, we would not have Star Trek without Desilu Productions and Lucille Ball in particular, who really believed in Gene Roddenberry's show. So it's just amazing how people come into success at the right time, or just how decisions are made at the right times so that certain things can happen. And just the domino effects, where some 70 years later, we're still enjoying the fruits of that. Now, I admit, I haven't watched the Lucy show or the I Love Lucy show probably in decades at this point. It's just been a minute since I've watched any of that. But I'm an avid Star Trek guy, especially the original series, and I'm always watching that on whenever I get an opportunity. I have a lot of the original season 1 and 2 and 3. I have the major shows on DVD. So again, imagine all of that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for that one decision. And that's the one thing about all of these sort of retrospectives and whatnot, how it's just amazing how life boils down to one decision, one yes, that then dominoes, and then you have this explosion of activity and just how many careers were formed, how many actors that we know. I mean, think about the Marvel, think about the X-Men, right? Because we may not have heard of Patrick Stewart if it wasn't for Star Trek Next Generation, and then everything he did with the X-Men and everything after that.
Yeah.
So
before we go to closing thoughts, I want to ask you guys 2 questions. I'm going to ask you guys together, and you can answer it separately. You can go first if you want.
Sure.
Did Lucy was ahead of her time? And the second question I have behind that is, did she change comedy for married couples on TV?
First answer, yes, she was ahead of her time. As like I said, as a business executive, as a producer, all those things, yes. And of course, she was the first again, comedy actress on TV that played that level of slapstick. But the second half, I would say no, because again, modern television and TV shows, especially when it hit the 80s and beyond, the role of the comedic actress changed, where she was no longer the butt of the joke. And that, I don't think we're going to, like I said, Fran Drescher's The Nanny might have been the last time we saw something similar to that. And that show ended, I forget, that show ended in the mid 2000s, I think, 2010. Let me
What show?
figure out, yeah. Actually, no, 1999. So that show was on for 7 seasons.
Which
1993 to 1999, The Nanny.
okay.
That was the last time you saw anybody like that on TV. So I think television has moved away from, and talk about how couples are shown on TV. It's the husband that's the bumbling idiot. It's the wife that's the long-suffering one that has to deal with his stuff and keep him on track. She can be a little, she can have some idiosyncrasies, but she can't be looked at as being lesser than. And on that level, we will probably never go back to that. So the first question, yes. The second one, no. We've gone away from that for some 20 plus years now, and I don't think we'll ever go back to that again. I don't think the society would allow it.
All right. Greg, you're up.
Well, I don't know too much of the show. As you said earlier on, I only literally had a short time to look into it. Very short time. Yeah, she was ahead of the time. What was the second question? Sorry, I forgot what it was.
Did she change the traditional marry or role couple?
I wouldn't know. I didn't get enough time to watch all of it. So
That's fair enough. Yeah. So, all right, let's get into our final thoughts and start closing out. Who wants to go first? Excuse me.
I think I've given mine. I mean, I don't know if I need to add any further aligning. I think I talked about her contributions to TV, to, like I said, Star Trek, and just the things that came out of that. So I'm good with it. But again, at the birth of television, it was, in my view, the perfect show. Not that they were perfect people, but that was the perfect show for the time. And it really helped to usher in the explosion of television. And all those shows that really came on afterwards for 7 seasons from 1951 to 1957. It was amongst one of the most popular shows on TV. And I think it really helped to develop television into what we know today. And at the time, you had also for sports, professional wrestling was actually one of the number one sports on TV. Professional wrestling in the 50s. So that was going on at the time. What's that?
It's funny you mentioned that, actually, because I said that earlier.
Yeah, professional wrestling on television was a hot, that and boxing. Boxing, professional wrestling would and those were top sports. Baseball and football came a little bit later. But early on, because wrestling, it's very easy to shoot because it's like mostly one camera view that you had. It wasn't like, multi-camera like you have now. And you were able to shoot, just like Eric knows this. Go back to WTBS and championship wrestling on Saturday night on WTBS. Back in the age with Ric Flair and those guys. Single camera for the most part. One small stage and arena. And yeah, they brought in mobile cameras later on, but it was wrestling was perfect for television, just as boxing was perfect for television. And so again, in that time, the I Love Lucy show was a major grower of the new technology that was television. So it was the right show at the right time. And again, their success led to other beloved franchises that that we're able to take advantage of. So.
Well, my final thoughts on it, they should have done more shows like it. I don't know if there was regulations in America or over here to do with it, but yeah, that was a rare thing to have anymore. You don't see that anymore, so well, so that's all my final thoughts do. Sorry.
No, you good, man. Your final thoughts. Your
I
final thoughts.
do think we
I
need
thought
to
you were
do
gonna
a
say.
part two to this. Pete, we need to do a part two to this so I can get a bit more info.
Yeah, we definitely can. I have absolutely no problem with that. Like you guys know, if like I'll fill you in later what was going on in the background with our new experiment of the channel. I call it. Except that I think she was a pioneer. I think she was a evolutionary. I think she was a diva of her first of the kind. I think she was a lot of things. And at that time, we probably took her for a grain of salt. Now we look back, we wish we had her still alive with us to see what kind of stuff Lucy was getting herself into in today's technology. It just, it was sad how they end up, and they still loved each other to the end. You can't buy money with that, unfortunately. Like I said, like most of you guys already know, I lost my my poor Alex almost a week and a half ago. My
That was
life
bad.
upside down. I'm sorry.
That was bad.
Yeah. So I realized that with that experience, one thing: this shit comes and goes, guys. He doesn't. He doesn't. Us. We're here for a little time and make it worth your while. That's what she did. Unfortunately, we're so busy working all the time, trying to figure out how to pay the bills. We forget how to just have fun.
That's only until you slap me about.
Do me a favor. Just slap yourself right now, hard as you can.
Ow. That's his fault. That's his
One
fault.
more. One
Sorry,
more on
all
the other cheek.
listen.
Do the other
That's
cheek.
his
Do
fault.
the other cheek. Yeah, do the other cheek.
No.
Do the other cheek. I'm gonna make you work. Do it for me.
You've got to come to the UK and do it.
Oh, I'm giving you a black eye if I'm doing that. Come on. Give me the other cheek just for one time. This one time thing.
Ow.
All right, guys. Let's do a quick schedule update. Let me get my list up here. We're
You're
changing.
kind of getting a bit fruity with that, ain't you, Peter?
What?
I think you get a bit fruity when I slap myself, you dirty git.
Dang.
You've reached your limit on talking. Shut the fuck up.
We are having a gray area tomorrow. Do you remember the topic we're doing tomorrow? Because
Yes, it is freedom versus obligation.
all right, there will be again, like always, 9:30 at this time, as always. Now I know it says love is pain, but we're going to be. I'm changing the topic. Actually, we'll be talking about a sexless marriage on
Oh,
Tuesday.
fuck.
Thanks, Craig. Thanks, Craig.
And you better be there, Greg. You are the
You were the instigator of this whole thing. So
I
On
thought that was
Wednesday.
tonight, to be honest with
on
you.
Wednesday, guys, we will be having a replay of STSTU because of the holidays. We're giving a couple of you guys a little break. And same thing for Paul and Coach. They're taking a 2-week break. And I'm going to replay on Friday. The guys will be talking about the Lord of Thundercats. What if Thundercats were turned into an anime? Tune in, and for next
no.
week.
No. They can't be doing that. They'll ruin that.
Okay, so they are doing it actually. So for next week, we're talking about same role, different actors. Who nailed it? That is a big, juicy topic lately coming up
I
because
see what you're saying. Yeah.
because there are a lot of actors who did different roles, but same roles but different actors. And like good example, Iron Man is a good example. I was gonna leave it there, and that's it. Except that, guys, Mr. President, last final words before you go.
I'm good, sir.
UK.
No.
All right, guys. As always, this was the Spartan Institute Network. Please do me a favor, everybody who's watching this, who you haven't subbed, please sub, please like, and please share. Share it to
Please
your
go
mom.
to Facebook
Share it to your dad.
and
What?
sub to that. Please
What
go to Facebook and sub to that.
Yes, we have a new Facebook. Please look up. Literally, same title, Spartan SU Network. It will come up. Just hit the like button, and that's all we need. And if
And
you
follow.
haven't shared yet, please share with your mom, with your dad, with your dog, with your cat, with your fish, with your bird, with your boss, whoever. Just share it.
What
Make
type
sure
of
they're
bird
sub.
you on about?
Make sure you watch them as they go. Sub. And that's how we're gonna do it. Except that, guys, it was a Spartan. I am the Spartan. He is Mr. President. He is Greg. As always, stay fresh, stay safe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.